In this video, you are going to learn how to pronounce these two sounds. P as in pet and B as in bean. This sound is pronounced P. P. We simply put our lips together like this and then push the air out. P. P. When you make the P sound, it is not a voiced sound. You are just pushing air through your lips. You can do a test at home to see if you're doing it right. First, you need to get a piece of paper and put it in front of your lips. Then you say the P sound. If you're doing it correctly, the paper should move. Let me show you. You see how every time I make the P sound, the paper moves. This sound is pronounced B. B. We make this sound by putting our lips together, just as we did with the last sound. Then we push the air through our lips. But with this sound, it is a voiced sound. That means when you say this sound, your throat, your vocal cords should vibrate like this. B, B. Put your hand on your throat to make sure your throat is vibrating. B, B. You can also use a piece of paper again to see if you're doing this right. Hold the piece of paper in front of your mouth like this. Then say the B sound. If you're doing it correctly, the paper should not move like this. B. B, B. You see, every time I do this, the paper doesn't move. If you're having problems making your throat vibrate and turning your voice on and off, try this. Say the letter A and put your hand on your throat. When you say A, you should feel your throat vibrating. This is the same feeling you should get when you say the consonant B. B. When you say B, your throat should vibrate. B. B. So what are the differences between these two sounds? Well, the main difference is that the P sound is unvoiced. The B sound is voiced. Another difference is that when you're making the P sound, it's a big puff of air coming out. A lot of air is coming out of your mouth. But with the B sound, just a little bit of air comes out. Like I showed you before with this piece of paper. When you make the P sound, the paper moves. But if I make the B sound, the paper doesn't move. Now let's look at some practice words for this sound. Remember, this sound is pronounced P and it's unvoiced. I will say each word twice and I want you to repeat after me. Pit, pit. Path, path. Pace, pace. Peace, peace. Oppose, oppose. Camp, camp. As you can see here, the P sound is normally written in the English alphabet by just using the letter P. Okay, now let's look at some practice words for this sound. This sound is pronounced B. And remember, this sound is voiced. Bin, bin. Bike, bike. Boast, boast. Being, being. Habit, habit. Club, club. You can see here that the B sound is normally written in the English alphabet by just using the letter B. Now let's look at some minimal pairs with these sounds. Remember, when you're listening to these sounds and when you're pronouncing these sounds, think about, is the sound voiced as in B, or is it unvoiced as in P? Pit, bit, pit, bit, pin, bin, pin, bin, path, bath, path, bath, pike, bike, pike, bike, cap, cab, cap, cab. So you can see here that the sounds on the left have the unvoiced p sound, and the sounds on the right have the voiced b sound. Another thing that you should have heard by listening to these words is that the words on the left have that big puff of air when they're being said, as in pit, pin. You can really hear that big puff of air. But the words on the right with the b sound don't have that really big puff of air. Now let's use these words in some sentences. Remember, repeat after me. Number 1, Bob broke his bike last weekend. Bob broke his bike last weekend. Number 2, Paris is a pretty, patient girl. Paris is a pretty, patient girl. Number 3, bikes are being ridden on perfect paths. Bikes are being ridden on perfect paths. Congratulations! Now you know the first 2 consonant sounds of the IPA. If you're ready to learn more consonants, I will see you in the next video.